Hello, this is Autumn Sink, and for my presentation on conflict, I will be discussing the conflict happening in Mali. Here's some background information on the situation in Mali. After the country gained its independence back in 1960, Mali suffered an unstable government, and then it ended up starting democratic elections, and Alpha Omar Kaner, um, pardon me if I pronounce that wrong, was elected president democratically, and he was the first democratic elect. And then his successor, the next person democratically elected, was Amadou Toumani Touré, who was in charge of Mali until a coup was launched by angry military officers. Um, so it ended up in this situation. It was the coup was launched, and the country of Mali ended up being taken over in large portions. Um, Large portions of the country were taken over by Islamic groups, and by these groups, I'm talking about terrorism groups, um, such as Al Qaeda was a big factor in this and a big key player. And that was the main issue and background of the conflict of Mali. Next, I'm going to talk about the significance of the situation. The issues in Mali are significant globally, and they are significant globally because a big key factor of that was Mali's location in Africa. Um, Especially with this having to do with the Islamic terrorism groups that took over Mali, people around the globe, including in like United Nations and like other countries around Africa and all the key players around the globe, were worried that the Islamic groups that took over Mali would end up destabilizing the rest of West Africa, and nobody wanted more countries and territories to fall to these Islamic groups. They didn't want more terrorism to spread. So, some global aspects of this is Mali is a big part of France's natural resources, including it being France's number one supplier of uranium, which has a lot to do with a lot of nuclear power in the world today. And a lot of this has to do with France. France is a key player in this aspect globally, um, because they need their resources and they don't want Mali to fall to terrorism. They need it to sustain their own economy. So France has backed up the country by sending French troops for support. And the United Nations Security Council actually had a unanimous full backing of France sending troops to Mali. So this worked out for France. They have full support of this, of using force, and it shows that it's really important for the United Nations to back you. And then another reason that this is a global aspect is because this situation is part of the international crisis of the war on terror, and no country around the world besides the ones who are the terrorists want the terror to spread, and that makes it a big international crisis because it's a lot of countries are dealing with the terrorism in the Middle East, and they're worried that this situation in Mali is going to make it spread. and it's just like containing the terrorism and ultimately stopping it. So, some results of this conflict are many rebels have fled Mali, but it is feared that the government of Mali will not be able to keep control of the country and keep it stable with these groups attacking them. The Islamic groups targeting Mali are using hit and run tactics, which are really hard for like the military of Mali to combat. And these Islamic groups have more desert fighting experience and more desert fighting motivation than the country of Mali and the French troops that are helping them out, especially. And here's my works cited, and that is the conflict of Mali.